So here's a question for you. What are your top 5 producer influences? You can say less than. You can have 3, 2.
Well, 100%. I have to say Jay Dilla right off the top.
Okay.
You know,
He's in my top 5.
yeah, 100%. Now, I just remember, growing up, I listened to my dad played a lot of house music, a lot of jazz, and I can't remember the first beat I heard by him, but I'm pretty sure it was either him or Nujabes it was Adult Swim.
Oh, okay.
They used to have these blurbs where they would just play a little bit of the beat. And I think that was one of the experiences in my life. It felt like I had never up to that point really ever connected because, you listen to your parents' music, it's always playing kind of in the background, right?
Right.
I didn't listen to music for myself until those Adult Swim commercials. Like when I heard that, it felt like a little like hit of dopamine. Whenever I
Wow.
heard those Jay Dilla beats, whenever I heard those New GB sound clips, like I felt like a drug, like hit me. Like
Really?
yeah, it was something about the lo-fi, the sounds that they used. It was amazing. It completely changed how I experienced music. I ended up listening to MF Doom and all those
Yes.
guys. That was kind of my introduction because they had a free album. I think it was Danger Mouse.
Yes. Yes.
That the Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It was so goofy, but it completely revolutionized my perspective of music. Kanye West, of course, an amazing producer. DJ Premier.
Yeah.
Uh,
I follow him on Instagram.
yeah, DJ Premier changed my life. I mean, my first few projects, I think all the beats on you know, all my projects were Jay Dilla, DJ Premier, and who is the third one? I used to listen to a lot of The Alchemist. I think anyone who like even now, like you've listened to Urameshi,
Yeah. A few times.
Sife's production is like it's automatic for me. Like when that stuff comes on, it's like the bars just pop instantly. And it's because it's the same kind of music that inspired me to start listening. That the soul samples, the drums, there's something about hearing the strained vocals in the back that kind of bring me to the state of mind that um that I feel like I'm always in, right? It's like it's almost incommunicatable. I remember we talked about before in the conversation that the people we reveal what we lack by what we seek most fervently.
Yes.
And I think that the one of the compulsions for me, the reason why I write so much and why I write books and articles and songs is because I'm trying to articulate something, that sounds in my mind like, just the strained emotional, screeching in the background. And it's like, how can I translate that? How can I capture it in some way that is coherent to me? And then, as a consequence, luckily I'm able to create things that other people enjoy as well. But it really is like a medicine for me. And so any instrumental that kind of encapsulates that, where you can, and I think it's interesting because we talked about before, listening to music and hearing, you learn more about the artist when you listen to their
Listen
music.
to, yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
listen, that's how I learned from you. Like
yeah,
I learned about you. I like obviously we've known each other a long time, but I we've never really had this kind of conversation.
yeah,
Like a text here and there. Um, like
email.
I learned about you through Eric or but your music, um, even if I said, okay, it seems like he's taking liberty to put some imagination into it because that doesn't seem plausible, it still tells me where your mind is trying to
Exactly.
go, right? So yeah, I was gonna ask you like, do you play instruments?
I used to play. It's funny. I tried. I legitimately tried everything. I tried the piano. I tried the violin. I played the flute. And they always put me in the back. I did everything I could. I was in the choir. But the only thing, and I've even produced a little bit. I made a couple beats for a project. Um, but I think that my best instrument has always been my voice, and it's the way that I'm able to communicate the best, I think. And luckily, I've always been surrounded by, you know, Eric and you, and before that, I had my homeboy Vontae. I'm the guy who went on to do really amazing things. I had Almari Beats. I've always been surrounded by people who could make great music. DJ Rockwell, huge inspiration for me. So I've always been surrounded by those people. So for me, like, even though I've always wanted to dabble in instruments, it became one of those things where I was like, should I split my attention or focus it on what I know I can excel at and just put 100 hours into that,
Into that,
instead of
yeah.
splitting it into 50-50 with something that I wasn't taking too naturally. So that was just a choice that I made. I do believe that, you know, as things change, you know, I was listening to an article or a breakdown by, I think it was Andre 3000, who was talking about why he's not really interested in hip hop anymore. He was saying, like, you know, he just woke up one day and his perspective was different. So I'm very open to change, and I, you know, if I pick up instruments every now and then to see if I change my mind. I tried to learn the guitar a couple years ago,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, not yet. It's definitely on my list though. You know, I want to learn an instrument, and if I get the right circumstances, I'm gonna continue to pursue it. But I'm so blessed. Like I can't thank the universe enough for having the interest that I have in writing and just being surrounded by all kind of musicians. Even now, like, we're planning for the gala. We try and have a gala every year. We missed the last 2 years because of COVID. So we're gonna throw another one on December 10th. And somebody hit me up the other day, and they got a band, and they're like, we want to perform. Like, we'll do the background for one of your songs, and you know, it's like, just by putting it out there and saying, hey, like, we're doing this, like, people come out of the woodworks. You know, if you build it, they will come, kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh, I've been
yeah. I
very
know
lucky.
what you mean. So what's your dream collab? For you with a producer or artist?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. Whew,
It's what I do.
dream collab. Man, you know, it's so cliche, right? Like, I feel like a lot of artists in my generation are gonna say the same thing. But
Mine's Eric Sermon.
Eric Sermon,
Yeah, like Def Squad. Like
yeah,
I want to produce for them
that would be fire.
something, but I want to be on the track that they produce.
Yeah, hell yeah. Just do a whole collab project.
Yeah, man, for real.
I think there's nobody that I've ever admired more as an artist. Just from the breadth of skills that they've displayed over their entire career, than Kanye West. Like,
Wow.
the man has done so, like, just the variety. You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
evolution.
he's not in one box.
No, and with every project, it's almost like you can trace the genealogy. You know what I mean? Like, every project that he does, he learns from it, and then in his next project, he takes the lessons from his last project and then incorporates it into his next project. And he's done it time and time again, and it's remarkable. Like, to see someone continue to grow and evolve and change. And, you know, the extra music stuff outside of that, you know, some people say is a consequence of genius, whatever. One thing I do know is, if you strip all that away and you just look at the work that he's done, um, that's the kind of artist that I want to. If you're talking about dream collab, it would be somebody
It'd be
who
Kanye.
it would be Kanye. His sight, his ability to kind of I always joke around because I was in all these different fields and where I've come from, and I had the blessing to be around experts. You kind of realize there's a good quote by this guy named Richard Feynman. He's a physics guy. He's one of the people who worked on the nuclear bomb, and they were asking him about sociology or psychology or something like that. And he said, in all honesty, like I've read their papers, and I don't know psychology, but I do know physics. And in physics, you can't really, you can't BS, right? You have to know what you're talking about. He's like, once you know what you're talking about, you can tell when other people know what they're talking about.
That's right.
Right? You real recognize
or BS recognize BS.
Exactly. So that was his kind of summary. He's like, I read their stuff and it doesn't sound like they know what they're talking about. And so it's a similar thing. Like once you've been around experts and you look at how they do anything, how they build. I've been around business people and I've seen them, how meticulous they can be about the parts, each individual element of their business. And then I'll meet somebody else who says they're a business person. And I'm like, this is not the same level of detail, right? Like there's a dramatic difference between the two. And, one person is obviously probably going to be doing a lot better than the other. And, but if you don't see that, if you never witness it, then it's very easy to get kind of caught up in that. And, when I listen to music and I talk to people and all the stuff about it, you kind of start to realize that there are levels, you know what I mean? To like how much thought is going into what they're doing, right? And when you look at someone like Kanye and everything that he's done, especially musically, particularly musically, the amount of thought is just it's insane. It's insane the amount of work that goes into what he does. And so have somebody working like that with you, that's dream stuff like that. That's dream right there.
I'm gonna ask you something. I don't think I'm on the level of Kanye, but I'm gonna say it like this. So you've heard my first one I think I put out. No, actually my first one I never put out. It was a trance album. But I have this one where the one that says The Lunacy Begins, and it was more or less done for like commercials and video games and stuff like that. But then when you hear that, then the next thing you heard, I think would have been what was it? It was The Lunacy Begins. Oh, then you had the mixtape, but then you heard this Chill. This last one was Chill, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I had sent you something, I think the link, and I was like, it's on Spotify, it's free or whatever. And I remember you sent me a text and you were like, because I said, oh, this one's going to be different. And you said, oh man, this is way different than your last thing.
Yeah. You had completely evolved.
So this is the thing, like, in 2001, I did like a trance album and everybody hated it. And then like, well, this is the weird thing. Around 2008, I had played it one day and people were like, oh, that's you? And I'm like, yeah. Like, why didn't you put that out? I was like, I did. You guys didn't like it.
Right? They weren't ready for it.
Yeah, it was just a different thing. So like what I do, like right now with this poetry thing, it's not like I'm the first guy to do poetry, but the way I'm doing it, I haven't heard it. You know what I mean? So so I don't consider me like Kanye in that sense because I think he's more mainstream.
Yeah,
like I think I'm more like underground. but I feel like I'm kind of you can't put me in the same box twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're constantly moving. And I think an interesting thing about the web today too, is that you don't know, and this is another thing I go back to whenever I talk to any artist, right? It's like if you're trying to make what's hot right now, for one, like I never recommend that, not just because it's kind of cringe or whatever. It's not cool, chase the trends, but also I don't think that it's a smart strategy because if it's hot right now, that means that it's already kind of passed, right? The wave's already passed, right? If you're just pursuing what you like and making stuff that's just you know what I mean? Like if you just look at the history of art, I think one of my favorite subjects in the world is history, right? Because it puts everything into perspective. You'll notice a lot of the artists that put stuff out, they would work for decades. Some of them would work for decades in obscurity, right? And then all of a sudden, bam, they struck at the right moment. They're in the right place at the right time, and the right person sees what they had. And all of a sudden, this library of work that they were working for in obscurity is now considered highly esteemed, and you're the new hotness, even though you made all that stuff 20
years ago. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how it's always been. It's nothing new. It's not new at all. So like I always say, just do what you love, chase after whatever, and you never know. Like, and not to wait in expectation of that, but you genuinely don't know. And a lot of times, because trends move and they cycle or whatever, if you're making something now and people are like, oh, I don't really mess with that right now, it's literally the cliche that, oh, they're not ready for it, is usually true, because in a few years, people are going to be looking for something that they're, oh, I'm so tired of all the stuff that I thought was hot. And then they're going to find that stuff that, you know, that you did a while ago is different. This is what I wanted. They didn't know they wanted it yet because they were satisfied with what they had at the time. But that does not reflect the work. The work itself, you never know what people are going to take out of the work. You know what I'm saying? Our only job is to put the best stuff out that we can, to follow our interests and keep pushing it. And then one day when the world is ready for it, they'll pick it up and realize how much work went into it. And, you know, once the time that it's there for arrives, it'll be ready. So
when it all aligns, right?
When it all aligns. One of my favorite stories, you know, speaking of art history, is about Monet. I hope I'm quoting this story correctly, but I don't remember what he did for most of his life, but it wasn't until he retired, I think he was like in his 60s or something, where he finally sat down in his garden, and he was just like, you know, I'm just gonna paint my garden. And he just painted his garden like every day for years. And now he's considered one of the greatest artists like in the history of mankind.
And he'll never know it. He'll never know it.
He'll never know it. And
but it's still a wave of his creativity that's connecting to people that aren't even from that generation.
Exactly.
Right. So that just shows that his soul was into that work.
Exactly. Right? That's all we can do, is put our soul into our work, and it'll reach.
That's why they say selling your soul.
Yeah.
When you sell the music. Yeah, man. What is your favorite instrument to record to?
I love the saxophone. Some of the
you could do a verse with just a sax.
Oh yeah, easily. Okay. Remember when I mentioned before about in soul samples that it's that kind of voice in the background. I always felt like brass instruments they sound like a voice.
Yes. Oh yeah.
If you modulate it, it's definitely a voice. I've always loved brass instruments. I've always loved the violin. That's the reason why I try to learn it. String instruments of all kinds.
I love the strings. That's one instrument that can make me cry.
Yeah, 100%. A good violinist can, I don't know, it can take you to another level. As I got older, I started to love the guitar more. Honestly, now that you asked me this, I don't think I could pick like every instrument. There's so many instruments that speak to me, and they all kind of encapsulate that same idea of there's an emotionality that like a lot of times when I'm writing, when I'm in like a writing mode, I don't like to listen to other artists, mostly because I don't want to subconsciously like pick up on their metaphors and use them. Like, I want to keep looking for my own way of expressing things.
Yeah.
And so I try and avoid it. And I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about that. But when I'm doing that, of course, I still have a thirst for music. and I listen to a lot of classical music, and the strings just take me to another level. Piano is, of course, you know, it's a mate, but that's technically a string instrument. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Either way, like there's
Yeah,
no instrument I can think of at all that's like, you know, that I wouldn't make a beat.
something too.
Yeah, I could.
I start off with the bass
Oh, I love bass. I love the
because of
bass.
my voice. So like most of my stuff, I'm giving away my secrets. But like when I made a song for you, I won't give it to you yet. But because I have like, I'm gonna try to hurry up with these questions. But I have this one song I did for you, and it was starting off. It's called Organic,
Mhm.
and it's like I'm sitting there, actually right where I'm at, and I'm like, like that, right? And
Mhm.
then I start playing the beat or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But my friend plays bass, like he's like a
Mhm.
professional bass player. So I make these sounds and then I send it to him.
And then he'll record it.
Yeah, and I tell him, can you get
Oh,
as close as you can to this?
yeah.
And so my actual plan, this is I wrote it on my I have a whiteboard here with my you can't see it, but
Mhm.
what questions that just in case so I don't get off topic. But so like your Urameshi tape, you already told me about it, so I'm gonna bypass it. But in your future plans, I was talking to Eric, and he was like, "Man, we should do a collab album with you and me and Genesis producing Malaman." I was like, "Yeah," and then I said I said I have stuff for him right now, but I want to talk to him. I want to meet him first because I want to be able to like just what we did with this vibe, because now I'm like confident that I'm like, okay, this stuff that I may have thought was too way out there,
Mhm. It's
because I
perfect.
have stuff where it's like just strings. I have stuff where it's a beat and like I said, in my body,
Mhm.
right? But because I see you're open to it, I feel confident to say this is the dude. He's gonna make my, you know what I mean? Like I told you, like there's this wave. So what are your future plans? And then I'm gonna send you something real quick, and I just want you to listen to it, but I want
Okay.
to get the reaction on there. I'll send
Right.
it to your phone.
Well, yeah. So my future plans, honestly, we did 3 year Urameshi tapes this year, and Saif doesn't seem to be stopping. Like, so what? How we operate
Like
is
Hit
usually,
Boy and Nas.
yeah, exactly. He just shoots them. Like, we have a Discord channel, and I'll just wake up one day and there's 10 beats in there. And
Oh,
I'll just download them all. Like, I won't even listen to them, and I'll just throw them in, and then I'll just see if I can make a track to it. And we got up to a point where I think I was doing a song a day for like 2 weeks straight. I think that was Urameshi too, and that's when we realized like we could probably do this forever. So the stopgap now is like, how, because he's got a kid now. He's got a family life. He's trying to work full time too. So uh, he'll make beats at his rate, and as soon as he can get them to me, I can make songs out of them. So we always try to do a big FTF project whenever we have a gala. So that's my next like focus, because I think the gala is on the 10th, so that's like maybe a week and a half from now. So we're gonna have that. Everybody's flying in. We're gonna record that Saturday on the 11th, and then put that out. And then after that is the holidays, so everybody's gonna be busy zooming around. I have no idea what's to come. To be completely honest with you, one of my favorite things, and the reason why I think that my life has been as happy as it is with music, is that I am open to try whatever with anybody,
nice,
because you
nice.
don't know, like, it's one of those things. Some people wait for inspiration to strike, and I think that's always a bad strategy, because inspiration, like genuine inspiration, is rare, right? But one thing that you can do is kind of put yourself in the arena as often as possible.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll turn on a beat that I'm not thinking is going to do anything for me, but I'll throw it in. What I like to do is there's an old a habit. They say if you want to go for runs, right? You want to start running. Don't tell yourself that you're going to run, right? Because your brain is like, oh, I don't feel like running, blah blah. Tell yourself, I'm going to get dressed in my running clothes, right? And I'm gonna put my running shoes on, and I'm gonna take one step outside the door and just feel the air, right? Because you could do that, and you say, I'm not gonna commit to running, but I'm gonna get all dressed up like I'm gonna do that. And then you get there, and 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be like, well, I'm already here.
Oh
Right?
yeah, you might as well go.
I might as well go. But
See, I take a walk first, and then that turns into the jog.
Exactly. But you don't go committing saying, oh, like, oh, I gotta record a song today. I just say, you know what? I'm gonna set everything up. So I get my mic ready. I'll throw the beat in there. I'll play it a couple times, drink my water. And I'm not, whether I make a song or not, doesn't matter, right? Because all I know is I'm getting in the studio today. That's all that matters. Get in there, get everything set up. Get ready. Try, right? Maybe I'll write a few things, freestyle a little bit. A lot of times nothing comes of it, or I'll have a song that I don't keep. But so many times I've got in the studio on a whim, just to see what would happen, and made something that, changed my life in some way, or changed somebody else's life, or just something that I really like. So that's the way it's always been. I don't really have super long-term plans. We throw stuff together. I really want to I'm working on a project with my girlfriend. I don't know if you heard, she's on a couple of the songs that we made. She's a songwriter. That's actually how we met.
Is her name CH something?
SATI. Sati.
SATI. No, there was a girl's name. I'm trying to remember it. It's like photographic. It's from your old thing. So yeah, obviously that would be right.
No, it's all from the stuff. Yeah, I think he's on Chriselle. Oh no, I know what you're talking about. Christ Moon.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to see the name when it comes up on my playlist thing.
Yeah, no, not Christ Moon, not Christ Moon.
Okay.
Miss Sati.
Sati. Okay.
Yeah.
She's on that last one.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So we're trying to do something with her.
Okay. I want to work with you for real. Like, I know like it's been like back and forth, but man, dude, you not only just inspire, but it's like more like it keeps feeling like it's supposed to.
Yeah. I agree. There's a reason we kept in contact.
100%. So I'm gonna roll this down because I keep saying I don't want to keep you. But now it's 11 at your house.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I sent you something, and I want you to listen to it real quick. It's like a real quick loop, and then I want you to answer these. These are called rapid fire, and it's just like there's no explanation, just quick answer. And then the last thing was I looked at your YouTube and stuff. I was listening to stuff, and it says the Crack Dealers was the highest rated one, and I was curious why you thought it was.
Okay, roger that. So honestly, that song is I think it was a stroke of genius. It was one of those moments where we that whole project was kind of like our declaration that we weren't going to be like normal rappers, right? Like we were going to make songs that we thought were fun. And I remember we actually had a conversation at one point, and it was surrounding that track. And because at the time, people had considered me a pretty serious rapper. And a lot of the people that I was making music with at the time, they weren't serious rappers. They had just started making music. A lot of them, I was like, yo, just come in the studio. Like anybody can rap. Like it should be fun, right? And it got down to the point where some of the more serious artists were asking, they were like, is this going to be like a real project? Should we start telling people your verse can't go on the track? You know what I mean? Like that was kind of the discussion that was being had. And some of the guys, the newer guys, they were like, yeah, I understand. I'm not really like a pro. Like you can take my stuff off, right? And we sat there and we had this conversation, and I said, you know what? For me, like the most important thing is that we're all here having fun, right? Like that, because at the end of the day, if we sacrifice, if we start cutting people off and trying to make a product, right? If we try and we do that, and then we don't get what we think we want, right? Which is the success and the fame and all that, then we would have sacrificed our friends for nothing. You know what I mean?
The creativity too.
Yeah. So it was like, would it be worth it? You know what I mean? Like to try and make this pristine product, you know, or should we just have as much fun as possible with our friends for the time being, right? And then let whatever happens happen. What ended up happening was we put together these tracks that were super fun, and we just had a blast. It was one of the best summers of my life. And then we put it out there, and people loved it. Like everywhere we lived in Aliamanu at the time. This is right near where me and your wife grew up in Aiea. The A-Town boy, they were all blasting our music. Everywhere we went, we hear our own tracks. And people from the DJ Rockamwell, he's a pretty big DJ out here now. He was a younger guy, and he was at the high school, and he said that they were playing our stuff. We had just graduated. You know, they were playing our stuff
at like the parties.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because they were like, these guys are from our school. These are, you know what I mean? Like these guys are music, and they're, you know, some of us know these guys. We saw these guys. They were the upperclassmen last year, right? So like it reached a bunch of people, letting them kind of know like they could make music too. You know, like there's no big barrier between us and them. And that's really what I wanted to prove, right? That was the whole point of the project. I was like, if you put yourself out there and you work on it, like anybody can rap, anybody can make music, you know what I mean? Like just put yourself out there. And that's the biggest barrier, you know what I'm saying? Is just showing up and putting something together, right? A lot of people don't even do that much. And so, you know, showing people that, and a lot of those guys went on. Some of them are like my homie, what you call it? I think what's his rap name? I think it's Moses, my homie Moses. He's got a track that's got like 30,000 plays right now. He's the most famous out of all of us. He's a world renowned artist. And I remember, you know, back in the day, he was like, "Oh, I don't really, you know, like my voice. I don't really think I would fit in this kind of environment." And you know, we proved all that wrong by just doing out there. And he's one of the singers on that song. It was his idea to make that song. So I think that when I hear that song and I see how well it's done, and you know, people still remember it and talk about it, it's a funny kind of flip, you know, a concept that everyone already kind of beaten to death, you know, and all their songs.
That's what made me wonder if, because of the name, I was like, I wonder if that's why people are clicking it, versus because obviously they don't know like what you're talking about. They're looking at the title first.
Yeah, 100%.
And I was like, to me, that's like a psychological thing. So that's what I remember. I said agendas. So like you might have. I was wondering if it was like, okay, I named it like this because I want to see if people are gonna go to this because of this, or like how you said, like I'm having fun with this, but somebody else's first impression is,
oh, there's gonna be some real gangster stuff.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean. So that's kind of why I was asking you.
Yeah, that's exactly why we went that route, right? Is that we wanted to subvert people's expectations.
Yeah.
The success of it has been a direct consequence of us facing that, you know, kind of straight on. That I think that even though we weren't trying to trick people, we wanted to
make a point,
rub it in the face, you know, drill that point home, right? Like that this is what people want to hear. And so we went full tilt, you know what I'm saying? I think it turned out well. I think it worked.
So I'm gonna thank you here for being on my show, Stories and Solutions. I'm putting it out there, man. You could be a guest host whenever you want. I hope that we this is the beginning of like we continue to talk. It doesn't even have to be through this way, but whichever way works. Again, like if music, and if that doesn't work, I'm honestly like just honored to like get to this point that we are like, I feel like I'm pretty shy, so it's like I don't really like go towards people. I'm more like it has to, I know it's a weird way to say it, but like, okay, say I meet a girl, like I'm married and everything, but whatever, like just say like I meet a girl, right? And you're on the opposite side of the room, but there's this vibe, that you could tell like that person knows something about you, your existence, right?
Hmm.
And you have a conversation. It doesn't have to be a sexual thing, but it's a thing that you can tell like I had this meaningful conversation with this person I don't even know.
Yeah.
And you know how you walk away from that and you're like, wow, the universe, like, how did that happen? Like
Yeah. It's
this
crazy.
time, there's just there's 24 hours in it, well, 20 less than 24 hours in a day. And it's, and I could have been anywhere, and that person could have been anywhere. And but we met, and then the be able to have a conversation that we did, and that's
Hmm.
this. You know what I mean? Like this was 10 years in the making kind of thing, but or more, but it's organic to me because that
100%.
was one thing like I remember saying I wanted to sign you. Then I was like, you can ask Eric. I was like, I'm not wasting this dude's time. Like, I want to be able to go on this journey because I told him, I was like, I want to be able to say in 10 years from now, like, we still know each other. And and there's gonna be this interview where we're like, man, we started off just talking and da da da, and then all of a sudden you're thanking, whoever, and you have this and you have that, and I'm doing my thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And
That's the
and it
goal.
yeah, and it just feels like it's natural.
Yeah.
So
100%.
so I thank you for coming on. And like I said, there's an open invitation, plus your what you were talking about before, and like your book, and like you said, it was pink
Think nihilism.
nihilism. Yeah. And I want to look up, like, I know what nihilism is, but I want to get like into it to know,
Yeah.
like, when you come on again, and don't wait too long, like come back on, and and and,
Roger
and
that. Anytime.
you know what I
Anytime.
mean? Yeah. And then, like, you go into depth with that. So thank you for coming on and your time. And I'm looking at the clock and all that, so I just want to be
Steph, most Steph. I just wanna leave off on a note. I want to let you know, like, the feeling is 100% mutual, and I'm extremely grateful to be here, man. Like, many years, we've always kind of missed each other like ships in the night, kind of thing. Um, the support you guys gave me early on, that belief in me that you guys had, especially in those younger days, I was working pretty hard. I was working my butt off. I had a lot of different signals coming from all different places, going off into the military. The times were rough, but I what you guys did and said in those early days, how you guys believed in me, how you and Eric were constantly sending me tracks, and we were working on stuff and trying, talking about record deals and all this other stuff. It made me confident in myself, in my own music. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's impossible for me to accurately describe how motivating those conversations that we were having were. You know what I mean? Like, when you guys say the stuff that you say, it really, it can resonate. You know what I mean? And it can really, when you're in a dark place and when you're struggling with things like nihilism or depression, those voices that you've heard throughout your life that have said, this is going to be something interesting. You got to keep pushing. We think that you can do something great one day. It keeps you going, and
100%.
none of that was wasted, not a single word. So I appreciate that very much. And that's why, as soon
Thank
as
you.
you offered for me to be on the show, like, it's an honor to be here as well for me.
No, I really appreciate it, and thank you. So tell me what you're listening to, that I sent you. Uh I kind of want to hear your reaction, and don't like feel like you have to, like, honestly, don't, like, just if it's no good to you, it's no good. But I'm this is something I did with you in my head.
Okay. Where's it at? Did you send it to me
I
via?
send it to your phone like a text, and then that way I'll end it with that.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I could work with this. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's smooth.
So that's just a loop, but I was like trying to give you the idea of what, like, I'll do an opening, da da da. Da. But if you like
Yeah.
that, yeah, okay, cool.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, do what you want with it, but I'll like, like stretch it out. Or
Oh
if
yeah,
you want to stretch it out, however you do it, like it's up to
uh,
you too.
you
But
stretch it out for me. Hit if you get a minute 30 seconds.
that's about it.
I'm
All right,
back. I'm back.
perfect.
Easy.
So thanks a lot, man. So I appreciate you.
No problem, sir. I'm glad to be here, honestly. And
Yeah.
anytime.
All right. So you have a good evening. And this is Stories and Solutions. I have my guest Malaman. This is awesome. Thanks for coming on, and I'll see you again.